Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and welcome to another episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. Today we are covering A Frightened Hound Meets Demons Underground, and this is episode 10 of the Scooby-Doo Show, and it originally aired on November 13th, 1976. If you want to own it, you can buy it on this DVD set, the Scooby-Doo Dynamite Hour. You can buy it at Amazon, Walmart, anywhere where you buy DVDs. It runs about under 20 bucks. Excellent. Complete season of Scooby-Doo, plus you get the Dynamite episodes thrown in. Dynamite is going to be in the new Scoob movie coming out, hopefully this summer. Hopefully if it isn't postponed. I guess it's in May when it's coming out, so spring, I guess. Hopefully it's not postponed. I'm excited to see this film. Anyway, this episode that we're talking about today, it takes place in Seattle near the Space Needle. And the gang discover an underground city crawling with ancient demons. And John requested this episode, and he had some interesting observations that I'm going to mention that you should probably watch out for. One is that he noticed the gang all enjoys seafood. The second one is that Shaggy is apparently a cable car enthusiast. And finally, one thing he observed that I didn't initially watching this is where exactly is the source of light underneath the city? The gang don't have flashlights, yet it's clear as day underground, the city of Seattle. Kind of strange. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get on with the episode. The episode begins on a construction site where two men are working. Behind one of the construction workers, named Joe, a demon emerges from a cloud of pink smoke, and he raises his arms to attack Joe. Fortunately, Joe is able to ride off to safety on a metal beam controlled by a crane, but not before the demon strikes the beam with his hand, leaving a burned claw mark as evidence of his supernatural powers. Meanwhile, at the Seattle Space Needle, the gang are enjoying an afternoon lunch. Scooby's having the lobster. While waiting for their food to arrive, Velma reads out loud to the gang about the construction site incident we just saw. In the newspaper article explains that demons are living in old Seattle. Velma explains that there is an underground Seattle which had burned down in 1890 and new Seattle was built on top of it.
When the old city burned down around 1890, they built new Seattle on top of it.
They learn that it's the fifth sighting of the demon, so they decide to visit the construction site and see if they can solve this mystery.
I think we ought to investigate those underground demons.
The gang meets Sam Crenshaw, owner of Crenshaw Construction Company Limited, at his office. The office had just been recently broken into and burnt demon claw marks pepper the walls. Mr. Crenshaw explains that demons took everything, including his company funds. Mr. Crenshaw is convinced the demons were after an ancient talisman that he shows the gang. He says that the talisman has the power to drive demons back underground. Mr. Crenshaw also explains that in 1860, the ground in Seattle opened up and a demonic pair of arms reached up towards the sunlight. Suddenly, there was a release of sulfurous pink smoke and several demons emerged that plagued Seattle for years until a strange man appeared with this talisman that he holds in his hand. The man claimed that the talisman used black magic, which he was able to harness to drive the demons back underground. The hole was then sealed up with an enormous iron lid that no one could open with regular strength, so demons could never escape again. Mr. Crenshaw, while building a new shopping center, came across that very iron lid and his crew opened it, releasing the demons, plaguing his construction site, where they left their burning claw marks across the entire site. Among the wreckage of Mr. Crenshaw's looted office, Daphne finds a matchbook with the words Crow's Nest on it. Mr. Crenshaw explains that the Crow's Nest is an old waterfront dive hotel.
Crow's Nest? Oh, that's an old waterfront dive near here.
Freddy decides that they should check it out. At the Crow's Nest Hotel, the gang talk to Sally, the hotel manager who claims demons are poking around her hotel as well.
Bless my barnacles, he was horrible looking.
A crusty sailor by the name of Albert Tross
Him? That's my starboarder, Albert Tross.
First mate here aboard the Crow's Nest.
chirps in that he has seen the demons prowling around the docks every night as well, sneaking around in the fog. Naturally, Freddy decides that they should visit the docks next. At the docks, the gang splits up, and of course it doesn't take long for Scooby and Shaggy to meet up with a demon. After a quick chase, Scooby and Shaggy meet up with Daphne, Freddy, and Velma. Explaining the story, Sally rushes in and tells the gang that the demons have taken Albert.
It's the demons!
What happened?
Hey, what happened?
Bless blast those scurvy monsters. They've taken poor out.
Leading the gang to her hotel basement, she shows the gang a secret entrance to the underground city. Here the gang find the infamous iron lid that has sealed the underground demons underneath the city, but they cannot open it. After walking away, the lid opens on its own and pink smoke emerges, followed by a demon. The gang come across a museum full of stone statues of classic monsters.
They're only stone figures, statues.
And this has got to be the Hall of Horrors. Yuck!
Many of which resemble classic Scooby-Doo villains. Inside, they discover a demon exhibit, and one of the demon statues is missing. Daphne also gets snatched by a demon, so the gang split up to look for her. The demon has left some burning footprints, so Freddy naturally decides that they should split up. Scooby and Shaggy follow the footprints, and Freddy and Velma do their own thing. Scooby and Shaggy go into an old music store where they find Daphne stuffed into a piano. Meanwhile, Freddy and Velma are in an old drugstore where Velma finds a bottle of pink gas that matches the color of smoke that appears when the demon shows up. Daphne accidentally drops the pink smoke and it emerges and it covers the gang, and when it dissipates, the demon appears and chases the gang all through the underground city. Velma thinks they need the talisman to get rid of the demon, so they decide to drive back to the construction site to retrieve the talisman, only to find Mr. Crenshaw and the talisman missing. Returning to the underground city, they find a cable car roundhouse.
I've always wanted to run a cable car.
The demon appears again and chases Scooby and Shaggy in a cable car as it boots around the underground city. Jumping off the cable car, Shaggy and Scooby take refuge in an old movie set where they meet up with Freddy, Daphne, and Velma. The set leads back to the Statue Museum where they find all the demon statues now missing.
Look, all the demons are gone.
All we need now to solve this mystery is to capture the leader of the demon.
I have a plan.
Freddy lays down his trap using some monster statues on the old cable car rails. He uses the monsters to chase the demon towards the iron lid. The demon opens up the lid and jumps in, and this time the gang can follow him through where they find a winding staircase that goes underground. Going through the tunnel, they are led back to the Crow's Nest Hotel basement. Here they find a chest full of coins as well as a lurking Albert Tross. Figuring out that Albert is the demon, the gang chase him and trap him. They also discover that Albert is actually Sam Crenshaw in disguise.
Sam Crenshaw.
Alias Albert Tross and the demon.
He was going to use the Albert Tross disguise for his getaway.
I would have gotten away with it all, too. You and that dog hadn't come along.
So, they don't explain things in full here, but it turns out that Albert was using the Albert Tross disguise to get into Sally's basement where he was pretending to be a tenant of the hotel. From there, he was using a demon costume to haunt construction sites, and we're not sure why he was haunting the construction sites. Maybe he was stealing all the construction site funds, or maybe he was stealing the gold from the underground city and he just needed the construction site empty so no one was poking around underground. Or maybe he was robbing banks through maybe secret tunnels underground. It's not really sure, but he was using demons hooked up to the rail car system just to scare everyone away. So I give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. It's near perfect for me. One thing I didn't like was the demon, the look of the demon. He looked kind of bloated. He wasn't scary. He was kind of naked. And I don't know, the body type, and it just didn't suit me right. Maybe it's his color, if he's gray, and maybe he had like, I don't know, maybe some clothes on. He would have been a little cooler for me. But yeah, overall, not scary. I did appreciate his hissing. It kind of reminded me of Predator. How the Predator kind of hissed at points. And he kind of had like a Predator-ish mouth. Not exactly, but it was kind of crab-like, I guess. It's kind of cool. Otherwise, the Stone Museum. Everyone thinks it's a wax museum, but Velma points out that they're all stone statues.
They're only stone figures, statues.
That was kind of cool. Those stone busts must have been heavy, though, to hook up to wires and such. I mean, I don't know how one man kind of carried these stone things unless it was like a really light stone. But again, cartoon, who cares? And I like the nice throwbacks to Scooby episodes. We get that werewolf that's similar to Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Werewolf. We got the witch that kind of looked like which is which. And the mummy, of course, although mummies are kind of generic. So whatever there. And then we get a sneak peek of the Rambling Ghost because he had yet to air. That's episode 13. This was episode 10. So he didn't appear until like 3 episodes later. And then I'm really curious about that skull with the samurai looking helmet. That was really cool. And then we get that Aviago statue. Again, he never appeared in Scooby-Doo, so that's kind of interesting. We also get some great locations in this one. We get the Crow's Nest, the Seattle Space Museum, or Space Needle. We get the Ransack Construction office site and the Dockside Hotel, which was the Crow's Nest. And of course the Underground, which had its abandoned pharmacy and music store and Hall of Horrors. And Underground Seattle is actually a really cool place that you can go in real life. If you're ever going to Seattle, you can take tours of it. I don't think it's as cool as the Scooby-Doo one in that it doesn't have the Hall of Horrors with the stone statues and such, but it does have some, cool stores underneath. I think you can see about 4 miles of it. I'll leave a link to the Wikipedia page below if you want to read more up about it. I also like Sally in this episode and her many salty sea phrased sayings. She was kind of cool. Anyway, thank you for watching, subscribing, liking, sending emails, commenting on the website, hitting like on Facebook, etc., etc. Any way they contribute helps the channel grow, which I appreciate because it keeps me motivated, because it does take me about 10 hours to do an episode. Sometimes you might wonder why I add effects to videos, and it's that, well, I only have roughly 3.5 seconds to show a clip, and sometimes I can't fit it all in, so I add some effects so I don't get a copyright strike. I'm not really about monetizing my channel, but if I get a copyright strike, you can't watch my videos in certain countries, and you can't watch it on your cell phone. And I know a lot of my audience watches my videos on their cell phone, so I got to add those effects in so that can be there. And since sports are being postponed due to the coronavirus, I decided the next episode, which is also going to be a request episode, so the next episode in 2 weeks, we're going to do the Warlock of Wimbledon, just so we get some sports themes in there, because I think a lot of us are going to be missing sports in the next couple weeks. And until next time, stay spooky.
Bless my barnacles, he was horrible looking.